Hi, my name is Mitch Stephen, and I've bought a house about every 4 to 5 days for over 2 decades. That's about 100 houses a year and over 2,000 houses in my career. But hey, that and $7 will get you a really nice cup of coffee at one of those expensive coffee houses. But it may help you launch your career at the same time. So today we'll be talking about building a credibility package. Now, every investor on the planet is completely reliant on his ability to find funding, or someone's got to fund these deals. So I think that one of the most important tools an investor can have is a credibility package. So stay with me. I'm going to show you what's in my credibility package. So what should be in your credibility package? There are about 6 things that you might want to include. I think they're all very important. And it starts with your personal bio, where you give a short description of who you are, where you're from, and why you're the right person for this business. Number 2 is the strategy that you are employing, or how it is your business runs. What is your strategy? And describe that in detail. Then after that description of your strategy, you may want to have some examples of how a deal works, like spelled out using real numbers. They would be like case studies that are typical of the kinds of deals that you do. And don't be afraid to show your profit. A lot of people are afraid to show how much money they're making or how profitable their business is. If you're out there looking for money, lenders need to know that your business is profitable. That's how you can pay them back on time with no problems. So don't be afraid to show your profit. Don't exaggerate profits and don't underplay profits. Just use a typical deal, whatever that typical profit is, put it in. If that's $5,000, put in $5,000 as a typical profit. If it's $20,000, make a case study that shows a typical profit of $20,000. Tell the truth and be as accurate as you can. Even if you're making up the case study a little bit, make sure that the case study is in the spirit of what actually happens in your business. And of course, you always want to have some references. If you don't have private lenders that have loaned you money that you can use as references because you're new and you don't have any private lenders yet, then use references that are important to your business, like your bankers or vendors that you've used, that you've had to open up an account and your bill's gotten up to $10,000 or $7,000 at the lumberyard and that you've paid them back. Find people that can speak to your integrity and your ability and willingness to pay people back on time. When I list my references, I like to give a little paragraph about the background, how I met these people, how long I've known them, some kind of ballpark of how much business I've done with them over the years. Of course, I never want to divulge how much of that person's money I have or how much they've loaned to me, because that's not anyone else's business. And the private lender that has been loaning me money might see that as a little across the line. But I can say words like, this person has loaned me substantial amounts of money in anybody's book. That would tend to lend towards hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or more. Find a way to explain to people your relationship with these different references. Make it short and sweet. Then it's also nice if you have a website or a web page that you're referring people to, if you're referring people to a credibility package online. Then you'll have some FAQs, or some frequently asked questions. Now, even if you're handing in a paper pamphlet or a binder with pages, you can put in some of the frequently asked questions. In my credibility package, I have the 21 questions that private lenders have asked me. They're the only questions I know that private lenders have asked me. If I ever find a 22nd question that they ask me, then I'll add it to this list. But I have the question and I have the answers to those questions at the back of my credibility package under FAQ. And then if the timing's right and you actually have a real deal that you need to have funded now, then include all the specifics and the photos and whatever you think you need to explain this opportunity to your private lender in the package. It's always nice to have something that you can move on right now. But that doesn't mean you have to wait to have something to borrow on before you start talking to people about the potential of borrowing their money. Case studies are fine. Credibility packages are important because it's your chance to legitimize your business and your time in this business. It's a chance to show some of the accolades that you have and the duration that you've been doing business and the consistency that you have. It's a very important tool, and you've got to look at it like it's marketing, because it is marketing. And you should have one of these credibility packages with you at all times, in your car, wherever you travel. You should have one, because you never know who you're going to meet that's going to present the opportunity for you to give them one. I raise money from all over the place, and I never know when it's going to happen. I sit down and talk, and I get people to ask me what I do. There's ways to do that. And in my Private Money Changes Everything, I show you how to get people to ask you the questions that you want them to ask you so that you can lead into a conversation about what you want to talk about. I always want to talk about my business, because if I see someone interested in my business, then I get to explain it a little bit more. And the first thing I explain is how I'm able to buy all these houses. I'm able to buy all these houses because I have $26 million of private people's money that I pay them very well for, and that they are secured by real estate, very risk averse. So I can get into that conversation, and as I'm talking to him about that conversation, I can see if their eyes are lighting up or if I'm boring them. If their eyes are lighting up, then hopefully I've done what I've told you to do, and I have a credibility package pretty close. And I say, hey, if you're ever interested, why don't you read through this and call me? And there I have a chance for them to go home with a much bigger picture and a larger scope of who I am and what I do, and how you verify who I am and what I've been doing. And that's really key. People are afraid to let go of their money. They want to be able to verify. They want to be able to do some due diligence and check on the things that your credibility report says. And that's why references are so important. Now, it's important when you're building your credibility package to understand that you yourself don't have to have a long track record or don't have to have perfect credit. You can even have bad credit, because the way that I teach people to borrow money is asset-based only. For example, if you need to borrow $100,000 and you're going to give the lender a first lien on a property worth $200,000, it really shouldn't matter what your credit score is. It really shouldn't matter that this is your first deal in your life. They're either going to get paid back the $100,000 as agreed with interest from you, or they're going to get your $200,000 house for their $100,000 loan. I venture to say they'll make a lot more money if they get your house than they will if you pay them on time. Because I doubt seriously that you agreed to pay them $100,000 for a $100,000 loan. So please know, a credibility package is about everything you can think of to your advantage. But if you have things to your disadvantage, then just set those aside and rely heavily on the strength of the deal and the first lien position of the lender. Again, I'll tell you this. If the collateral is worth 2x and you're only asking to borrow x, it really is not that difficult to get the loan. But a good credibility package shows professionalism and a willingness to be transparent. Now, before I get to how you're going to want to frame your deal so that your private lender can easily understand what it is you're offering, what it is you want from them, and what their risk is, stay tuned. But before we get to that, I would like to humbly suggest that you walk your little fingers over to that like button and that share button and punch on them a couple of times and let the world know that you like what we're doing and you'd like to invite them to come listen in. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, because there is a lot more content where this is coming from. So how do you frame up the deal or the opportunity you want to present? Let's say you have a real life deal right now. Let's say you have a $200,000 house and you need to borrow $125,000 in the first lien position. What should you show them? Well, number one, I would show a lot of pictures of the house. And I would not cover up any of the ugly parts. As a matter of fact, I'd make sure the ugly parts are right up front. It's probably the number one rule of selling. If you're selling a house that has a broken garage door, let's just go to that garage door first and let's get that out of the way. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as you'll notice, this house has the opportunity for you to get a brand new door, and it'll be the color that you want and the style that you want. So don't worry about this. I'm sure we'll figure out the garage door. Get the garage door out of the way. Show it as a positive. I know it's broken, but hey, there's an opportunity here. You're going to get the garage door that you want and the color that you want and the style that you want. So don't worry about that. Let's go see the rest of the house now. So the same thing when you're presenting houses. If they've got a burned down kitchen, let's go take pictures of the burned down kitchen. Don't hide this stuff, because you'll lose a lot of credibility if they actually go by the house and look at it and you didn't say anything about it. So get the ugly parts up front first with the big bright light on them. And then go through the good parts about the house. And then tie it all together and why it doesn't matter. The reason why the burnt kitchen doesn't matter is we have a chance to build a new modern kitchen. And you're going to loan me within that $125,000. I've got $10,000 allotted to rebuild the kitchen. And this is a picture of the kitchen that I think I'm going to build, and show them what the new kitchen's going to look like. And then you say, and I've checked out the properties in the neighborhood. Here's the last solds in the last 6 months. And this is what these houses have sold for. Here's a picture of it. Here's the address of the house on this street that sold for $210,000. Here's the address and the picture of this house that sold on another street right down the block, for $195,000. And put all the comps in there. So that if they hire someone, or if they are savvy enough to get into MLS themselves, that they're going to go find the exact comps that you presented them with. And this again will up your credibility. You told them these were the comps. They went to find the comps for themselves, and guess what they found? They found the exact comps that you told them about. Now this is where some people make some mistakes. Sometimes there's some low comps, and investors try to leave those out. And they only show the very highest comps. This will get you in trouble all the time. People will recognize you as a manipulator and that you're not really being transparent, because people do check, especially the first-time lenders who have never lent money to you before. They're probably going to drive by that house. They're probably going to call some friends or an attorney and a realtor, and they're probably going to run you through the ringer, and they're going to run this house through the ringer, and you need to be dead on with what you're telling them. And that's really where the credibility of the credibility package comes in. Not that you've been in the business 20 years, not that you did 1,000 houses. That's not it. It's that you said these houses sold for this price. I got in a computer with a realtor friend of mine, and you were telling the truth. They all sold for this price. That's where the real credibility comes in. Make sure everything they can verify is dead on. Last but not least, the difference between private money and institutional money is private money is usually more expensive, but it's lightning fast. Institutional money is cheaper, but that deal will be long gone by the time they decide to give you the money. So you use private money to strike fast and get your hands and occupy and own the deal. And then after it's all stabilized and it's been repainted and leased and it has the white picket fence around it and the trees have been trimmed and the flowers are blooming, then you walk it over to the bank and you get the low money to replace the expensive money. You walk it over to the bank and you get the inexpensive money to replace the expensive money. You get the expensive money back in the hands of your private lender so you can go buy another house with it tomorrow. And it's kind of an endless cycle. Let's just say you had $1 million worth of private money. You could probably buy the whole town with it, one house at a time. Get the money out, fix it up, go to the bank, use bank money to replace the private lender's money. Private lender has his money back. Now you go find another house, you borrow the money back from the private lender, and you could do that endlessly and probably buy the whole town, in theory. If you're serious about changing your life and taking control of funding, go to 1000houses.com and find up there in the tabs, Private Money Changes Everything course. Just look for the tabs where the courses are and find Private Money Changes Everything. Check it out. And I'm going to give you a webinar right now describing what you're going to learn in that course. Just go to 1000houses.com/free-stuff and scroll up and down the homepage there until you see Private Money Webinar. Click on that. It'll be downloaded to you in an instant. If you haven't mastered the art of raising private money, take this year and do it. Believe me, it's life-changing.